For more on this, I'm joined by Ben Roswell. He is a former Canadian diplomat and currently a consultant with Catalyze, a strategic advisory and leadership development firm. And Ben, good to see you as always.
Nice to be back.
Okay, so what do you make of, let's first talk about what we've learned today, and that is that there will be a little side meeting, if you will, between Donald Trump and Mark Carney tomorrow. What should we expect from that?
Oh, I think we should keep our expectations very low. Donald Trump likes a bit of theater, and so I'm sure he'll use whatever public aspect of that event to try and have a show of dominance over us. And at this point, Prime Minister Carney is quite good at sort of dancing around that. I think it's quite clear that we not signal any concessions, that we are also going to be ready to walk away from CUSMA if we don't get the right deal. We need to approach the United States as a partner, which was the spirit in which the original NAFTA was negotiated. And if that involves a little brinksmanship, then I think the Prime Minister would be right to engage in that behavior.
Now, what do you make of what we heard from the U.S. President yesterday, saying that we may walk away from this deal, or we may negotiate, renew it, change it? I mean, he's just sort of musing about all kinds of scenarios.
Yeah, that would be par for the course as one of his attempts to demonstrate dominance over what he perceives as a weaker partner, and by this time it's quite well known. But I think there's a substance to it that we also have to take very seriously, that this likely is the end of CUSMA. It's far more likely that we will be presented with a bad deal. I think it's a dead man walking. We might be presented with a proposed deal and then be asked for some major concession, whether it's legislative or some of our natural resources, something that helps demonstrate the United States' superior position. I think the United States under President Trump is looking for a signal of dominance, or signal from us of submission. And so there'll be some political trade-off that they will request at the last moment. The worst case scenario for Canada is not the end of CUSMA. The worst case scenario would be for us to accept some diminution of our sovereignty in order to maintain trade relations. And that's why I think we have to signal right off at the outset. Yes, of course, the end of CUSMA is an option for the United States. It's an option for us as well. It's a bad option for both countries. Let's set aside that option and negotiate. But we'll be able to walk away from this deal if we have to, in order to preserve what's even more important than our prosperity, which is our status as a sovereign nation.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that, because some people will hear what you're saying and will think, wait a second, whoa. I mean, that's a big deal to say, and we've heard this many times before, that even with these terrible tariffs that are affecting steel, aluminum, automakers, certain industries and hitting them hard. We heard with the Algoma steel layoffs just the other day, that a lot of Canadian goods are getting into the United States tariff-free. Then all of a sudden you think there might be some kind of tariff of some kind to get goods into the United States, and what could that do to the Canadian economy, to Canadian businesses, to Canadian workers?
It is a huge deal. I mean, this is a fundamental change in Canada's economic place in the world. Now, it is a huge change that we've already begun to take on board with these massive nation-building projects, with a huge increase in our defense spending, and even some, gut-wrenching compromises between Canadians. For example, the MOU between Alberta and the federal government that really guts, a whole decade worth of climate actions. We are already taking some very serious steps in light of the very serious situation. And I think when you're approaching a really major negotiation like this, with a counterpart that acts in a sort of predatory manner, one of the worst things that we can do is reveal our vulnerability or emphasize our vulnerability. And for us to come into this position, these negotiations, and say we have to have CUSMA at all costs, signals a vulnerability to the other side that they will take advantage of. So it's not at all with any lightness that I say we also have to have that option, that CUSMA might not be a good deal for us, and that we'll walk away from it precisely to get a better deal than what would otherwise be presented with.
When you're talking about that there might be some kind of trade-off to give up part of our sovereignty, I mean, what do you mean? What do you think Trump could mean by that in terms of...
So it seems relatively clear that Trump is not motivated by an economic rationale, at least for the economic best interest of the United States, because otherwise he would have maintained the global free trade regime that the United States was so instrumental in bringing apart, and that it benefited so massively from. He's motivated primarily by power, by establishing power over other Americans in this sort of authoritarian style that he's adopted to American politics. And in international relations, whether it's international economic relations or military or any other, he's seeking to establish a position of dominance. It's particularly acute in the Americas, where the United States has this imperialist ideology of the Monroe Doctrine, which suggests that it is a superior power to every other country. We've seen that with its threats to annex Greenland, with its threats to take some of Panama by military force, by the unlawful killings that it's conducting left, right, and center in the Caribbean. Now, it's not threatening violence against Canada, but it is sending a similar signal to all countries in the Americas, which is that we're the boss and you are second fiddle to us. And I think that's really the goal in the CUSMA review.
Well, I mean, he has said we should become the 51st state. He has referred to the border as an artificial line, and he has threatened annexation through economic coercion. So is that kind of what you think could be on the table?
No, I think those are bluster. I mean, I don't think there's actually a serious plan to annex us and for us to become part of the United States. But there is a parting of the ways between sovereign nations that treat each other as equals, and great powers that force their will on others. And if there is an economic rationale to this, presumably it's that once the United States has secured Canada's submission, then it can secure better economic outcomes. And that's why, on the point of principle, we have to be able to stand on our 2 feet as equals and say, even if it's going to cause economic harm to us, even more than, remember, they're already doing, they're already committing against us, that the bottom line position is that Canada is a sovereign country, and that we will never trade away.
All right. Ben, good to talk to you. Ben Roswell. As always, thank you.
Thank you.